Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Broyans Farm. I'm starting out here today at the farm market in the greenhouse. We're gonna be potting strawberries, or actually unpotting strawberries. Dad should be showing up here in a little bit. And basically, this is just like we do it in the field, except now instead of planting it into the ground, we're planting them in a pot. And so to get started, I had to bring a bunch of stuff out. I needed trays, I needed soil, I obviously needed pots, dirt, container for the dirt, and the most important thing, the strawberry plants. These are bare root plants, just like we plant in the field. We also started planting plugs last year if you've been following along, but they're too expensive to be doing what we're doing right here. And so what I'm doing is taking a bundle of these roots and I'm trimming them way shorter than what they are, just because they obviously could not fit in that pot. And strawberries do better if they're planted straight. You don't want them roots going sideways or curved or twisted all around, anything like that. And so even though they're shorter than what I'd like to plant them, that's just the way it has to be to fit. And so I already got done with 130 of them. They look awesome. Each one has that little green shoot coming out, which is what I want to see. And hopefully in about 2 or 3 days, we'll start to see a nice leaf coming out. My biggest thing though is making sure they're planted to the crown. And if you don't know what the crown of a strawberry plant is, that is this part right here, right where the roots meet, we'll call it the bulb. And so if you go too deep, especially when you're planting them in bare ground, you can actually suffocate it and it won't grow at all. In here, I think we have a little more lenience just because we have nice, beautiful potting soil, but obviously that's ideal conditions. And so first things first, I'll fill a tray with pots. That'll be 10 total. So just like how we plant all the other pots in the greenhouses, I'm doing it now the same way for strawberries. I make my soil a little bit wetter, so that way when I make my hole in the pot, it kind of stays that form. I don't know if you can see that. And then I'll just take that bare root plant, stick it straight down in, kind of tuck it in, and that's it. And I'm just trimming the roots with a normal pair of scissors. Well, I shouldn't say normal, they're a little bigger than average, but they work really nice for this, better than like a little or tiny pair you can get at the grocery store. And you can see how fast I'm moving. Sometimes I do trim the roots shorter than what I would like that's pretty short, but I have no fear that that's not gonna grow. If you're wondering the variety we're planting right now, these are Galetta, which is a June-bearing strawberry plant. This is actually one of the varieties we plant in our field. For me, it's one of my favorite varieties that we grow, period. And then we also grow Everbearing, which I'll show you here in a little bit once we get into them. They'll go all summer long. I don't know a lot about them just because we've never grown them for the field, so I don't know exactly how big they get or anything like that. We just finished up. I worked for a while by myself, got about 150 pots done, then Dad came, and then we worked together. Then Sammy came, and then she filled pots, and then me and Dad planted. Got all the June bearings done here first, and then we worked on Everbearing, which is that whole other side. There's 500 of each, which is double what we usually plant. Usually we do 250 of each, but we got a lot better pricing if we went with the whole 1,000 versus 500. And so we're gonna see what happens. Hopefully we can sell them all. When you look at the plant, there really is no difference between the Everbearing and the June bearing. It's just June bearing will bear for the month of June, and Everbearing will go all summer long. It's the next day. Once we got finished up with all the strawberries yesterday, we actually had to go to Scranton Farmers Market meeting, which we do every single year, just to, kick off the year, make sure everything's gonna be okay, talk about new things we wanna change in the market, and just go over old business, all that kind of stuff, and that all went really well. So now I'm just gonna get down here to the greenhouse again, gonna open some stuff up, gonna bring another pallet of soil over, but then Dad and I are gonna be making kibasi for the farm market, which we do every single year for, I think, Christmas and Easter. So that's basically gonna be an all-day process. I really won't be in the greenhouse as much. Some stuff is just exploding, which is exactly what we wanna see. We have so many seedlings to start transplanting now. and the seed room is still full. Because obviously we are vegetable growers and we want to get into the fields as soon as possible to start getting everything ready, we don't want to be going to greenhouse markets later than we need to. And for the past 2 years, we've just been going longer than we've been wanting to. And that's because what always happens every single year is we start going to markets, we start selling out of everything, and then I get excited and I start seeding a lot more too late. And then what happens is we're going to market way later than we want to, because now this stuff isn't maturing until later on in the season, which is kind of when we want to start to be done and get stuff cleaned up. So this year, planting a lot of stuff earlier, which is kind of like right now, instead of doing it later in like April. I want to be done by like the beginning of April, like before April 10th. I want to be done seeding everything for the greenhouses, and then I'll still have to obviously seed for the fields, but no more for the greenhouses. My gram could not come yesterday, but Dave and Pap were in here. As you can see, they got a lot done. We just have to fill that little section in, and then the whole greenhouse will be done all the way back to this point. I have to go get another pallet of soil right now, but I'm afraid to put it in here because we're gonna have to start moving all this stuff out of the way now just to fill up this section and this section. So it's a little bit of a nuisance, but now I might have to keep that pallet outside and then just bring them in as we need it. Probably one of the biggest improvements for our greenhouses was this tub right here. Makes it so much nicer. We can wheel the dirt around wherever we want to. We used to always just put a piece of plastic down right here and then put a whole pile of dirt. But then, like I said, it's in our way. We have to pick it up and move it. Now that is big enough to where we can put 4 or 5 bags of soil in there, and we can wheel it wherever we need to, whenever we want to. All this stuff is starting to look awesome. Every single year we start to get a little bit nervous that everything's gonna mature a little bit too quick, and it's gonna be too cold to start going to markets to start selling all of our products. Now you can use what's called a growth regulator on all of these plants. We've never actually used it or gotten into it, but if we started to see an issue to where, you know, everything was gonna come on too fast, we would probably have to look into it right away and start putting it on. I don't think it's gonna come to that. We're doing the same thing we do every other year and we never have a problem, but we always just get a little bit nervous because obviously we don't want the plants to be losing their first set of blossoms before we go to market. The grass is starting to get pretty high, especially where the water lays. We're gonna have to get this mowed pretty quick here. Luckily it's been pretty cold, so it really slowed everything down. There's an auction going on tomorrow about an hour or so away from the farm here that is selling a lot of equipment that we could use here on the farm that we don't have or just want to update. My dad or myself really don't like going to auctions. You sit there all day, usually waiting for that one thing you wanted, and then it goes for a lot higher than what you wanted to spend. And then you go home with nothing. But like I said, there's too much stuff there to pass up. So pretty sure Dad and I are gonna go out there tomorrow, and I'll let you guys know how we make out. Hopefully we can get some really nice equipment for not an arm and a leg. In the shed here, our stockpile of all the greenhouse supplies is starting to go down. We have boxes laying everywhere here just to get to the bottom of a pallet of something that we've been looking for. A lot of this is just pots or hanging baskets. There's like 1206s. Here's hanging basket hangers. We're down to 2 pallets of soil, which is kind of exciting. Dad always figures it out basically to exactly what we need, only a little bit extra. So that means we already went through, I think, 3 pallets, which were lined up here. And now we're kind of on the home stretch of things. I just got out here to the market. I dropped off the kibasi. I'll show you that in a couple minutes. The guys from Rock Bottom Dirt Works just dropped off another couple loads of dirt yesterday and got this filled in. The other guys, which I can't remember their names, got the well brought up, capped off, so now we can get this all filled in nice after we get the pump out of there. This was the line that obviously went down in the well. Nothing really special. Dad said it's about 60 feet or something close to that. And so yeah, we are Getting very close now to get this finished up. We still have some more, or they have some more leveling out to do to make this final. Then we'll obviously seed this with grass and it'll be like there was never even a house here. Mom brought a couple of plants out, just some petunias and the coleus, just in case anybody wanted Easter flowers. Back here in the cooler, this is where we have the kibasi. We have 5 different tubs. There's 2 there, 2 there, and then 1 up here. This one doesn't have a lid, so I just covered it with saran wrap. This is obviously what it looks like before it is cooked. I think that's around 100 or like 110 pounds of kibasi we made today. Just me and Dad do it. It takes us just about all day long. Sammy did come and help for a little bit. Because of the liquid smoke in it though, we have to, I guess, let it sit for a day or something like that. And then my mom can bake it and then it will be ready for sale. We'll see what the strawberries are looking like now. It's been about 24 hours. I would say probably in about 2 or 3 days we'll be able to really see how they look. They seem to grow really fast and do really well in these pots. Like even way better than what they do in the field. I don't know if it's just because it's like perfect conditions for them or what, but like I said, in 2 or 3 days, almost every single one of them will have a bright green leaf on. I video so much that I can't really remember if I videoed us burying this line. We used to have an overhead line that came from the pole there to the market, but kind of hung a little bit low and we didn't want trailers to hit it, so we buried it after a tractor trailer did hit it. And literally it's been about not even 3 weeks. I don't think it's been 3 weeks. And somebody backed into the pole now yesterday. And so you can see how it's broken off there. Guy was real nice, said he would either pay to have it replaced or replace it himself. It's just annoying that now we have to fix it again, but stuff happens. Just got back here to the greenhouse. I'm glad I didn't put that pallet of soil in here because they really filled it up today. I don't know exactly where it started out today, but they got, I think, all this done right here, which only leaves us a little bit of a section here. And then this pretty nice section over here, which now we have to move everything out of here, which is kind of annoying, but it's got to happen. And so I'm going to go over now and check out number 1, see how many seedlings are left that are mature enough to plant. And then hopefully I can bring some of the ones that are grown enough out of the seed room and now start seeding again tomorrow because I've still got a lot to do yet. I absolutely love looking at these onions every single time I come in. They're just so green and like lush. The ones in the, I think like 380s or 390s or something, obviously aren't near this big, but they'll be getting there eventually. We don't really want them that big yet because we aren't even close to being ready to plant in the field. But people will probably start asking us in about 2 to 3 weeks if we have onions for sale, and we're gonna be ready for them. Over here in number 1, nothing has really changed since this morning when I was in here, but it's still fun coming in. I swear these are growing every single time. They're gonna have to be trimmed soon. Trying my absolute hardest to get these to do well this year. Those Calibacopa always do fine, but these we always struggle with. But they have such a pretty flower on them, and that's why they're such a big seller. But especially in the pots, they want to get yellow, and so I'm trying to feed them as much as possible to get them to just, you know, not get yellow leaves and hopefully bush out like you see those ones doing down there. I almost don't see any seedling trays missing, so that must mean that they got a bunch done and then brought more out of the seed room. Yep. So Dave started covering, but I just said I'll finish up. That whole back row was filled, this whole front row was filled, and then there was a couple trays down there that they all got out of here. That means now tomorrow I can probably take some more of these trays out, move those ones from over there to here because they're going to be coming up if they're not already coming up. And then I have this whole section, which is 15 more trays I can get seeded. Well, I guess not tomorrow because tomorrow we're going to be going to that auction, but that's what I'm going to call it a wrap for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, and always remember it ain't much, but it's honest work.